Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for listening to Detroit Bicycle Podcast. Just wanted to give you all a heads up. We're going to have a live taping of our season finale at PJ's Lager House on November the 7th around 6 o'clock. So you're more than welcome to please come on out and hang with us, chop it up, talk about the show, talk about cycling in the city, and anything else that's going on. Thank y'all. Enjoy the show.
What up, Detroit? Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of Detroit Bicycle, where we're all about the love, benefits, art, culture, food, and the people we meet on bikes in Detroit and beyond. Welcome to the show every week. We got a full house today. Mr. Bobby Brown, how you doing?
I'm well, Henry. How about yourself?
Good, man. Good to see you. And of course, the illustrious Bruno.
What up, man?
What's happening?
What's up, Bobby?
Hey, what's going on, Bruno?
Hey, I'm happy to be here, man. You guys make me smile every time I see you.
That's what's up. And today we're at PJ's, but Bruno, why don't you be more descriptive?
Hey, we are enjoying the intimate confines of the back deck at PJ's Lager House. So live life loud. Come on down. It's 1254 Michigan Avenue. Walk your way all the way to the back and enjoy the beautiful vista of Detroit.
Yeah, it's a nice day out tonight.
It is.
It's a beautiful, beautiful day.
Well, on today's show, we have another special guest, as all of our guests are. But this individual is really taking the art to another level of Detroit cycling. I know he's been hitting it hard. I know out of his almost 95,000 Instagram followers, probably a few of you are following what this gentleman is doing. Mr. Joe Gall, the Camera Jesus.
Hey, Henry. How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is really cool out here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show,
Yeah,
man.
appreciate
We
you
do
taking the
appreciate
time.
it, man.
No problem.
So, for those not in the local scene of Detroit, it doesn't really matter because Joe Gall is one of the best adventure photographers that's come out of the city of Detroit, who celebrates Detroit and the adventure of life. Joe, if you could, can you give us a little history on how you got started in photography and what brought you up to where you are right now?
Thank you for that amazing introduction. I really appreciate that. It's pretty humbling.
It's true.
Thank you. So the way I kind of got started behind the camera, I was always passionate about taking like family photos and stuff. When I was a kid, I was kind of designated the camera guy of the family.
Okay.
So if we did any trips, the one that really stood out for me was, I think I was about 14 and my family took me out to the Grand Canyon. I remember like shooting the Grand Canyon on film and just being blown away by the beauty and the magnitude of how huge the Grand Canyon was. And I couldn't wait to get home and develop those photos and then show friends at home and spread the love of like what this amazing monument was.
Right.
And I developed the pictures and I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, this doesn't do it justice. What do I got to do to get behind the camera and be able to like
Fully translate
exactly this moment and this experience, but it's really impossible. But that's kind of the hook when you get behind the camera and you really want to show people like what's up.
Right.
So you just kind of just do better and better and better, and it's always building.
So, I mean, the nature of everything was essentially the inspiration.
Yeah.
Talk about your adventurous side. That's really, from my perspective, exploded your talents to across the country.
Sure. So I guess I can relate this back to BMX riding and how I got started doing that. Again, as a young kid, I was always just out building my own ramps and jumps in the neighborhood and getting the group of kids together.
Nice.
And we'd always go ride and stuff like that. But then as well, I was always trying to document that. And I came out with a blog back in the day called teamyoungbmx.com. And it was before we even called shit blogs. Like
Kidding.
This is just like me documenting my friends, all this DIY stuff we were doing to make like our bike tracks and things like that.
Wow. Okay. What years were these, do you think?
Early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
And I mean, it's long gone now, but that kind of set me up as a documentarian photographer, showing the lifestyle behind the scenes and everything that has to do with BMX riding.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you, from that, well, probably before then you always had a camera, but that really kicked you off on...
Yeah, it was always just like a point and shoot. This is even before iPhones and camera phones and things like that. So I just had a point and shoot on my person, even disposable cameras, like blow through those a lot. And, trying to
We are live here at PJ's Lager House, just letting you know. It goes down around here. I think that's the band's van getting looked at real
getting
quick.
broken into real quick.
Sorry, Joe.
Oh, man.
keep your valuables off the front seat.
Yeah.
Take the change with you.
Right.
We are not responsible for
Leave that
items.
flosser. That's the only thing you can leave, bro.
Do not leave valuables in your vehicle.
Yeah, make sure you check it.
That's a pro tip.
Yeah. So nice.
BMX. It's
BMX
an
and-
interesting transition, though. You went from nature photography to action
to
photography.
action photography.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
like, that's really cool.
Right.
But there's something about getting that right frame of the exact moment when you have the one chance to push the button.
Right.
How to make that trick or whatever stunt, anything you're doing, that very best moment, how to pinpoint that.
So that's probably what helped drive you to keep going, just to get that.
It's almost like a
shot.
video game,
Oh,
you're out there, you're playing duck hunt with a camera.
It is.
Nice. So I know currently, actually, let's backtrack a little bit. The first time that I recognized you, I didn't know who you were, but you were actually on one of the early Palmer Park bike rides. And there was a website that was early on starting about mobility around the city called Mode Shift Detroit. And I think that's probably one of the real first official photos of the Palmer Park bike ride that they published that you shot on that website of the Palmer Park ride. So that's when I heard your name the first time. But then when it really hit home is you took a shot of our homie, our club brother, and made it to the cover of Metro Times. It was Skinny on the Riverwalk down.
Justin Skinny Doors.
Right.
Right.
And that's when I was like, okay, so there's a family relationship there. I need to really find out what this guy's all about.
No, your group of friends and everyone you ride with, just the passion that's driven behind that, those are the kind of people I want to capture when I'm on assignment, do something like that. Like, these are the real deal.
Right. It really goes down in these streets.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about assignment. Now, let's jump into all of the assignments that you have been on. And for those who are listening and do not follow Camera Jesus on IG.
Yeah, both of you.
Well, right.
We're talking
Can't
about
be
the
too
two
many
that are
of
left.
them. Right.
Yeah.
Make sure you go follow along on his adventures. But your travel for your work is insane. Talk about how you got started. What was your first major gig where you were like, oh man, I can really get into this?
I guess it was a long time coming. I've always been a struggling artist. It's something that is a very saturated industry these days. It's hard to find a niche. My main focus when I was starting out was live music photography and action sports and a little bit of nature things here and there.
Okay.
But that's just all passion driven things that I wanted to cover, not necessarily what's going to pay the bills.
Sure.
But a creative director from Adidas had reached out and wanted this skate kind of look with the fisheye lens and apply this to running photography.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they were doing this shoot in New York City and flew me out to photograph behind the scenes for a video shoot. Long story short, they ended up using a lot of my stills in the campaign from being BTS.
Nice.
That got to be like on the forefront of that.
Right.
And then other people within the industry, especially in the company Adidas, were like, well, then who shot that? Can we use him to photograph the next running campaign?
Yeah, okay.
And it kind of just snowballed. And then
Came
before
up.
I knew it, I was like flying around the world.
Yeah, man.
Taking pictures of people
Yeah,
like
man.
doing fitness
Living that
stuff.
photographer lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, following you along on your IG stories, I mean, it seems like one minute you're in downtown Tokyo, and then the next day you're at Pictured Rocks in Michigan, and it's for work. You always, I like how you always quote, for work.
It's work.
It's work, right.
Hard to believe sometimes, you know?
It's really fascinating to follow along and to see the adventure that you go through to get that one shot.
Hey, thank you.
Do you have the same inspiration per job, or do you try to find the focus and work from that?
I'm just out to create the best that I can for the project or assignment that I'm working on. When someone lays out their art direction, or if they give me full art direction responsibilities, I'm just trying to deliver the best product, and I feel like that's kind of how I continue to work in this business without even having a website for
Right.
my commercial work.
Right.
It's all word of mouth, and I stay busy enough. A lot of people think that's pretty crazy to not have like a website for your commercial work. Most people don't have any clue what I do for money because everything looks like just fun.
Right. I mean, it looks like you're having a good time.
That's all I try to do every day, you know. Like,
That's what's up.
you check the weather and you plan out
Plan
what you're
ahead.
gonna do.
Nice.
So,
Oh no, I was just gonna say like you're turning your passion into taking you places.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
and
Which
it really has been.
is, yeah. Which I'm all for.
Yeah.
I love photography.
I think we're
Like,
all
that's-
trying to do
yeah,
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was actually asked to ask you a question on your opinion, because everybody has a camera now with their phones. What's the opinion on the filter generation, I guess we can call it right now? Is that something that is now going into a nature realistic kind of is that something that you would advise people on, or would you prefer they try to wait till nature gives them the look they want? Or
I do understand why people use filters. It is an easy look to achieve to kind of give your natural photo a different vibe, something that you can say like that's your style.
Right.
So you might want to just find your style and stick with it. You might want to lay back on like a lot of the heavy filters because as a professional photographer or somebody that looks at professional photos, I think you're going to look a little bit more amateur if you use a
Sure.
bit too much in
It's
the
all saturated,
saturation
right.
or whatever. But that could be your style, and if you can embrace it, it is art, and no matter what you do, you know,
right on.
just go for it.
Sure. So if the technology is there, why not
Yeah,
make it something?
and that's
that
the
you
way
can
things
work
are
with?
going. So you
Right.
kind of have to roll with those punches and embrace what's happening around you.
Right on. So I know that you have you've done a lot of portraits as well, and a lot of concerts. I mean, who would be your most exciting portrait, most exciting concert to shoot, and who are the most popular concerts that you've shot and people that you've?
Man, that's a hard question, just picking favorites. I always just enjoy where I'm at in the moment. So just the last photo that I've taken is pretty much
Okay.
the first, like the last.
Right, N+1, it works.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All the
man.
way
It's
around.
a great philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, like just
I mean, everything I did before
built
honestly
you to this
wasn't
next moment.
like it's gone forever. Like that was that moment, and the future is happening. So this is where we're at right now, and this is what you have to enjoy.
Yeah, there's no question. That's how it goes.
Yeah. That's what's up.
It's hard to pick your baby, you know. Like
Right.
if you're out here, it's like I love them all. Like
Yeah,
at
it's
the
like
moment, I
bikes.
love them all. You know,
I
I
like
enjoy.
the Schwinn, I like this. I like the Surly.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's cool, you know. Like you do get to meet so many different people and go to different locations. You're never really in a studio the same thing. It's not very repetitive. It is the same kind of business, but you're always shooting a different subject, and it's always a new challenge. So it's kind of like a puzzle you have to figure out
On the fly.
on the fly.
So I imagine you have you carry a lot of equipment to make sure you got bases covered.
Yeah, you kind of get your standard kit built up where
Sure.
that's basically everything you need. And if there is any kind of light crafting and things like that, then you're probably going to just rent that equipment. You don't necessarily need to own a truck full of things.
Right.
But per job.
So I know we were talking earlier about some of your aerial shots. I mean, there's a lot that are very popular. But what was your first published aerial shot? Do you remember?
Man, I was lucky enough to be sponsored by a drone, Motor City Drone Company when they first
yeah.
came out. That's when I
Okay.
was doing like the slow roll drone
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Oh yeah.
I know Big Mike.
Out of
Yeah, Big
badge.
Mike.
Out of
Yeah,
badge
yeah.
and whatnot.
What
Yeah,
up, Big
remember
Mike?
these- Yeah,
Yeah.
Hanging
shout
out on the pedicab with the drone. I remember that.
Right.
Because I was still on the come up. I couldn't just like throw $1,000 to get a drone or
Hey.
Sure,
something. And
sure.
who knows if I would be able to get it. I was really intimidated, but they're like, hey, you have the eye. We'd like to get this in your hand and just to see what you can do with it.
That's what's
And
up.
I was like, after that, I was so hooked.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to PJ's
Yep,
Lager
go around
House.
and
12,
bring around the right and keep going.
50.
Yep.
Yeah.
12:50.
Right. We are recording live.
And there is
Life
the live
out.
bands happening
They are
tonight.
open.
Hey,
Yeah.
You know what it is.
Nice. So your drone was essentially your first aerial shot. But since then, I've seen you hang out a chopper or two.
Yeah.
Out there, King Kong in the
Right.
Penobscot
I
building.
mean,
Like, hey.
what's that sensation like? And how do you prepare to hang out of a helicopter?
The first couple doors off helicopter rides I had around the city here were not the warmest conditions. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you're not going to freeze up there. 'Cause
Right.
It's a lot
there's
colder.
wind and it's so much colder as soon as you leave the ground. So dress warm and make sure you have a strap on your camera so nothing's
Oh,
falling
right.
out.
Yeah, you don't want anything to fall.
Yeah. Sound check of the
Sound
band
check,
right
Yeah.
here.
man. Hey, sometimes
Give the
it
drummer
makes-
some.
That's what's up. Man, so okay, that's gotta be awesome. Now, is that you're an adventurist, and I don't imagine that really shook you too much initially your first time.
It is the closest thing to flying that I've experienced. I've never skydived or anything like that, but just hanging out of a helicopter and feeling the wind and seeing things that you normally are so familiar with on the ground, just
Right, different perspective.
passing by from
Right.
that view is just something sensational. Absolutely.
That's what's up. Now, you're also known for a lot of your aerial shots of the city, but on top of different buildings around the city.
Yeah.
Maybe your most popular one that I would imagine would be the one you shot of Tony Hawk on the edge of the
Lee Plaza.
yeah, insane shot. What advise us of the concept,
Yeah.
how you got there, and how you two even got together to do such a thing.
It's kind of a cool story. He was engaged to a woman from Bloomfield, and she grew up in Detroit and kind of like scouting and exploring some of the abandoned buildings, and
Right.
she really wanted to have some prints for their home of Detroit. And one place in particular was inside the train station,
Sure.
MCS, where she had, I don't know how she had permission to go in there back in the day,
Oh,
but
she
you
had
know,
permission.
She must have had permission because she was
She
in
had
there,
permission.
allegedly.
Right.
So they hooked up with me and bought a couple prints of the city and kept in touch. And he had this skate park opening in Ann Arbor like the following week and needed a photographer for Tony Hawk Foundation. So this is also something I could help him out with.
Right, okay.
So that's how I met him in person. It was in Ann Arbor for that skate park opening. And then ever since, just like his go-to guy for skate photos when he comes to town or whatever.
Adventure.
Yeah.
So, composing that shot, who was more precarious situation, Tony or you?
So I had been up there on different scouts for different things before, and I kind of knew this was a shot that I've always wanted to do with maybe a model, but now that I had Tony and his wife with me showing them around the city, I showed him the concept and he went right for it.
Oh, nice.
What you don't notice is just 10 feet below, there's another floor that comes out like a balcony.
Okay.
So if for some reason you did go off, you're only going 10 feet
just
down.
An ankle or so.
But his wife didn't. His wife was kind of watching me direct Tony off the ledge there from back on the other side of the room and had no idea that was below.
Oh, no
like
kidding.
a safety net.
Okay.
And she comes running up like, what are you doing? Like, this is way too much. Like, you better chill out.
He's down for it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he was all about it, right?
About it, right?
That was one.
That's nice.
One of the most memorable shots, that I've
Indeed.
taken. Absolutely, of a legend in the city, a historical building
On top of the city.
Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
Man, all right. So there's a bunch more shots I'd like to talk to you about, but I want to move forward on to what you're working on and planning and jumping off on right now. Please describe. You are now taking folks out.
Yeah,
to
I'm just
shoot.
again just trying to help people out that are maybe struggling, trying to find their way in the photography world. Like a lot of people, you said, it's kind of a saturated market. People are buying these cameras, they're not really sure how to use them. Plus, they need interesting locations to take photos at. So with my knowledge of locations and how to work the camera, I figured I could take small groups, show them some of the best places, most interesting places to point their camera, and if they have any questions on how to use it, answer those on the spot. It's like an open conversation. Just, like really relax and chill, small group,
Nice.
So that's called elevated exposure tours, and I'm going to apply that concept to different niche markets, from motorcycle trips to even like wellness retreats to,
Awesome.
This is the first one doing the fall
I think
colors.
if anyone's going to pull it off, it's going to be you.
Oh, without a doubt, yes.
The combination of your adventure and your eye, I don't know how it could not. That's success, man.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, we had
for
an application process where we can vet the group to, I had them write an essay and we had the people apply. So then once we had the window of application closed, we took a look at all the essays, and there's some people that you can just tell, like, this would benefit them so much, and those are the kind of people we were looking for.
Yeah.
Do they require any sort of social media content or portfolio?
No, we did ask if they had an Instagram to leave their handle, and I did check out a few, and I think most of the people that we're bringing don't have any sort of social media presence. It's not a big deal. It's not part of it. This is just strictly for them.
Right, skills.
Right.
To learn and then grow from there. Yeah.
Nice.
If you don't mind,
Please.
I was doing my research, man, my due diligence, and I read a quote from you. I believe it's attributed to you, and it said that if you want to be a photographer, go to business school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think photography is something that you learn on your own.
Correct. You can't learn it in a classroom.
Totally.
So you're saying that it's a tactile. It's something you have to learn with your eyes and your hands and physically being immersed in
I can't imagine how much further ahead I would have been earlier on in my career if I would have went to marketing or business school, something like that.
Yeah.
Just to figure out how to sell yourself and market yourself is a big part of how to up your game in this industry.
Right. It may have shortened the come-up period.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to translate that real
sure.
quick for our econ students out there. Yeah.
So, you said you were considering for your what would be a good word to call it? It'd be a photo.
We've been throwing around
tour,
words
or
like tours, retreats,
Retreat.
like all-inclusive classroom experience where, instead of
all inclusive.
stacking up,
Sure, okay.
Like
your
photographic immersion.
Yeah.
Like
There you
immersion
go.
into the lifestyle. Like, here we
Right.
go. You're
This
like,
is it.
you're going to live the Camera Jesus lifestyle. Here we go.
These are some of my favorite
This
places
is
to
how I
go and
pack
take
my shit.
photos.
This is where I go.
Exactly.
This is how I get there. This is how I plot to get there.
Are you doing once a month, or how often are you going to provide
This
these
is the
opportunities?
first one, the premiere right now, so I'm kind of testing it out, see if it's something that really fits my personality, because I'm kind of an introvert. I don't really put myself out in front of the camera ever, and to talk
Sure.
to people is something new for me, but
Sure.
I all about trying new things and kind of getting uncomfortable.
We
appreciate
appreciate
that. You know what I'm
that.
saying? Like, we're really
Without a
down.
doubt.
When you
Yeah,
asked me to
thank
do
you.
this, Henry,
Yeah.
I thought, wow,
Thanks,
what a
man.
perfect, just another way to practice.
Yeah, man.
This is
Yeah.
us.
I
Same.
mean,
You're
that's
Doing
what we're
wonderful,
doing
man.
right
We're
now.
just trying to
Same
keep up
for
with
us.
you,
Right.
bro.
Yeah,
Thank
we're,
you.
we're just
trying to level
practicing.
up,
That's
man.
all.
We're just trying to level up to you.
Wow. All right. So, a lot of stuff.
It's been amazing.
Yeah,
like, there's
going
so much
on
going
with
on.
you, Joe. So, right off the bat, just break us down on if anybody's looking for your talent, where they can find you, your personal information, your IG, your new adventure. Break it on down for us.
Yeah, the easiest way to get a hold of me would probably be through Instagram. My handle is camera_Jesus. And that's, like I'm saying, you could find me on there. Send me a DM. I try to reply to everybody as soon as I can. Another way to get a hold of me would be my email, joegallphotography@gmail.com. And you can also check out camerajesus.com if you want to see some of my Detroit work where I sell some prints on the side.
Nice. Yes, you also do sell your own prints for everything, which is awesome too. I mean, and I know a lot of prominent people I've seen have repost that purchased your
it's always
items.
one of the coolest feelings to know that I'm taking a photo, you see the process go all the way through until you hold it in your hand, and then that ends up on someone else's wall for them to enjoy. I think that's just the coolest shit.
You're doing it, man.
Yeah, thank
for
you.
sure.
No, I love it. I love it. So I know I check, a lot of your stuff out, and I love sports photography. I've always loved sports photography. From looking at, Sports Illustrated magazines when I was a kid, and you see that shot on the cover or the inside
Yeah.
page of
Yeah.
some unique moment. And I noticed recently, I think the last few years you've been working with the Red Wings. How has that experience kind of been for you?
Nice.
Following like a pro team and
It's-
being behind the scenes.
It's one of the coolest things I've done in the city, just growing up being a hockey fan, and like our classic Red Wings teams were the hypest shit
Oh,
ever.
yeah, of course,
Right.
of course.
Going to a couple of those games every now and then, and
Yeah.
the nostalgia, everything
McCarty
about it.
Pummeling.
Oh,
Claude Lemieux.
Oh, for sure, and those were the legends.
All right.
And then just kind of out of the blue, the organization had asked, I think it was because of social media, if I would come in and kind of do some flavor photos while the Joe is like having their last couple games and like
No
check out
kidding.
some practices. They really wanted to capture the energy, the vibe, not just like the sports photography
Sure.
part
Yeah.
of it.
Right, right.
That's
Right, the
something that-
space.
The
Yeah.
space, like
Right.
these are the last days of Joe
Right.
Louis Arena,
As a
like how we
hockey
capture
skater
that.
in this building.
Wow,
In the
what an
building
honor,
being
man.
Yeah, just to
That's
be able to
cool.
like deliver that kind of historical
Yeah.
imagery and have full access.
Wow.
It's
I
been
was just
beautiful
running
watching
around
it.
with 2 cameras, taking thousands of photos. Like,
Sure.
just
You
so
did the last
excited.
days of the Silverdome, didn't you? Or
We shot a
after
BMX video
days of
there
the
for
Silverdome.
Tyler Fernagel.
Yeah, that was
Red
wild.
video.
Like that video was
Oh
amazing.
my God.
Guys coming off the upper deck.
Oh, up the deck. Yeah, that's
coming
right.
off the,
Yeah.
off the second.
Yep.
You're like, yeah, I seen beer cans and batteries come off. I never saw a guy in a BMX do that.
Right.
Oh man, yeah, that was
I
another
did that
wild
day.
experience.
Thank you very
Right.
much for that. Man. That was
Sure.
amazing.
But
So,
for-
speaking of video, I mean, are you strictly still?
No, a lot of
or-
people don't know that my career started in video, and then it went and progressed into
Oh, wow.
stills.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to school at Specs Howard, just trying to get like a fast fix, some kind of like whatever that bachelor degree is.
Yeah, yeah. Right, right.
Just trying to get straight out of high school, I was tired of slapping hardwood floors already, you know, trying to figure out my life. And I had a BMX injury where I broke my hand, so that was like my way out of slapping hardwood floors together.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'm healing. I may as well go to school. This is the fastest program. I hated school, honestly. Like, I know that's mostly just filler, and
Yeah.
what you can learn in a week is really all you really maybe need, and then you just kind of go on your own.
Right. Wow. Something else.
We're all blown back.
Yeah.
Like, some of the experiences that you've, been a part of in the city, the behind the scenes,
Right.
the rooftops, it's all like,
And the history that you're
Yes.
actually involved with and creating. too,
yes,
it's-
because that's
It's
not
something
lost.
to be proud of, man. You really.
Yeah.
And the best part, I mean, on top of it all, is that you're showing Detroit so hard, so proud, and you're definitely giving the audience an aspect of Detroit that is really not known or publicized by very many people. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I just try to sprinkle it in here and there, just small facts and unknown things that maybe would be overlooked. There is so much here, and instead of posting about the same things over and over again, it's fun to like kind of unearth those hidden gems and let
Sure.
people know what's out there.
Yep.
And then maybe they'll come visit. Maybe they never thought they'd ever want to come to Detroit. But everywhere I travel to, I can't stop talking about it. So everyone's like, "Hey, man, I'm on my way to Detroit. We met a year ago or something. You think you can show me around?" I'm like, "Of course."
Nice.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
what's
for
up.
sure. Yeah, we love that. All right, so Joe, thanks for being on the show. We really do appreciate it. But I just want to put you up. We do this segment every week with our guests. It's called Three Things, and we talk about like our three favorite somethings. And in this particular case, you're
Photographer.
that photographer.
That
visual
photographer,
artist.
right.
Right, like not even the.
Right.
It's the.
Right.
About to be the. And so we thought we would talk about our three favorite views of the city of Detroit. So, Bobby, why don't you lay one down?
These aren't political views either. These are
No, man. It's not right or
These are
left, man.
visuals.
Just stay in your lane.
These are visuals.
Yeah, for visuals. For eye candy.
For myself, I had one view, but then as I sat here and thought about it, I'm switching it up.
Uh-oh. You're doing one of my numbers.
Yeah, I'm pulling a Henry out here. I'm in the car a lot sometimes, and you take that long road trip out of town, and usually you're either going out 75 or 94.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're coming back north on 75 and you hit that Rouge Bridge, and you see that just like you come over and it's like, I'm home.
Right.
Yeah.
We ain't far now.
No, we're not far now. And I
Right.
think,
I know
that
the surface streets from here. If
Yeah.
I had it, the highways are fucked.
Right. We're
I'm
good.
getting home
Right.
regardless.
Yeah.
I know where I'm at.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've worked for years downriver at one point, and coming home in the morning, and I would see that sun come up over the Ren, and it's just like, I'm home, or you go out of town on a long road trip, and you come back, and you see that shot, and it's just like, man, it looks so beautiful
Yep.
coming over 75,
I
and
agree.
you see that.
It's incredible.
It is
Right.
incredible.
Sometimes you're tempted to just pull over on
I-
the shoulder there. Like that's so dangerous.
There's a
I think Van Hooser did that
He
for
did.
Oh, yeah,
He
you
did.
did. Sure.
Yeah.
Taking
Yes.
some of that Detroit air.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That's-
not the same as everywhere else.
Yeah,
Get a
there's
little
some
bit in your
random like
lungs.
smokestack. I was
Right.
like, man, how can I get to the top of that and
Right.
shoot,
Yeah.
Right.
down into the city one morning? It would be sweet. But yes, that just you come over that bridge and it's just like,
that's good times.
yeah, it's a good view. It's a
Well,
very good view.
Very similar for my three things. It would be, in Detroit, when you're 19, you heading across the water.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Oh,
those
yeah,
going
yeah.
over to
drinking
Canada.
Yeah,
age.
right.
Right.
Get it
Right.
in a couple years
You
earlier.
did a couple years early. You set the
Yeah,
ground.
we called
the
that Head
groundwork
Start. That
over
was the
there.
Head
That's
Start
all.
program.
Practice.
Just tested
That
over
was the
there.
Head
Right.
Start
Yeah,
program.
exactly.
Can you handle the triple X?
Right. You're trying to figure out what you can handle and what
Can
you
you
can't.
handle the triple
Yeah.
X or not?
Yeah.
So my favorite view would be off of the Ambassador Bridge on my way home.
Oh, so still coming back into the
still
city.
coming back into the
Yeah,
city.
that's nice.
And to this day, I
And
mean,
the whole city's right over there.
right
with
to
you,
your
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yep.
And you're just
yep.
like, yeah, it's
So,
beautiful.
And doesn't matter, winter, it's,
It's
very
Oh,
stark,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
still very prominent.
And there's contrast.
There's very much contrast.
yeah.
In the summertime, the sun is right above the city, so it doesn't matter what time of year.
Bruno?
Actually, I'm gonna go to Joe.
No, Bruno. No, you gotta go.
Okay,
You're not the
all right,
guest.
I gotta
You know how
go
we
now.
do.
All right, so my spot for real is, and it comes like just like yours, comes from like a feeling that makes me comfortable, like that, like bonds me to the city, and that's gonna be at the very very tip of Belle Isle, looking down over Scott Fountain.
Ah, nice.
It doesn't matter the season, if
Right.
there's ice around it.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if it's spring and there's tulips up.
Sure.
Like Scott Fountain made me know, like that was like when I was a kid, that was my house, like my home.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hang
We put
out
our
there.
feet in it. You
Right.
know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah,
Like we
yeah.
just would ride our bikes down there.
Yep.
You couldn't tell us like Scott Fountain wasn't
Wasn't
ours.
it?
Yeah, that was the deal, man. And it just makes me. It's like comfort food to me.
Sure. Oh, yeah,
It's
I
comfort.
got you.
It's eye comfort.
Yep. Yep.
That's great. Yeah, I agree.
thanks.
We're so lucky to have Belle Isle as a park here.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It makes this place like very livable for me. That's my escape. And
Yes.
Nice.
I don't know if you noticed, but in most of my photos, there's always water.
Yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
I go. Like that's my view too. Anywhere along that coast of Belle Isle, from the beach to the point, all the way back to the
Sure.
pier, on the
Yeah.
other side, back everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's it.
It's unique. There's not many cities that have that as
No,
an amenity. It's like that's
exactly.
Yeah.
that's like
It's the
with
true
like
jewel
with Funyuns.
of the city.
You know what I mean? Like that's on the side of Funyuns right there.
Yeah,
like
for
for
sure.
real.
All right, Joe, what would be your favorite view? I guess you already said it. You throwing out Belle Isle for that?
I think, yeah, like I'm saying, Belle Isle is just a gem that we have here, and you have to take advantage of all those views, especially with the sun, how it sets behind the city
Yeah.
from Sunset
Yeah.
Point.
Yeah.
And you get the,
Lighthouses,
Yep.
memorials,
the
the
moon
statues.
rises, everything,
Yes.
And you get that
Nice.
distance separation. You can actually see everything happening.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
great.
True story.
Mhm.
Yep. Well, that was our three things. Bobby, you want to let them know where we're at?
Yes. Y'all know y'all can find us. Detroit Bicycle, BYCYCLE. We are everywhere you can get a podcast, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify. You can check out the website, Detroit Bicycle, BYCYCLE.com as well. We are out here. We are out here everywhere. The IGs, the Twitters, leave us messages. We will holler back at y'all.
Nice. All right, Joe. We got a few more minutes left here, but we cannot let you leave without getting into our little hot seat situation with a little 5 questions that we have. And these kind of fill our listeners in a little bit more, and actually us as well, to get to know a little bit more about you. First question would be, describe your first bike.
Man. The first bike that meant so much to me was, I never even knew what a BMX bike was growing up. My neighbor had an old, even it wasn't old, but to me now it is.
Sure, yeah.
One of the original BMX racing bikes, and it had plastic mag wheels and white wall,
Snowflakes.
everything, huge chrome bars. A bike that was way too big for even me to ride, as a 20-inch. I was just a kid, but we would have our blocks of wood stacked up in a sheet of plywood
Right.
on that.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
did?
And-
Were you riding if you didn't?
Right.
man?
You just send
Right.
it, always hitting nose first, we just build it up until you fly over the handlebars.
Right.
That's about it.
That's when you know it's big enough.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was just that experience, and seeing, all our friends just kind of getting competitive and
Sure.
going faster and further, and that. So BMX just kind of took over from there, and that was what got me saving up for my first BMX bike. Was a Dyno Comp Air.
Nice.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Saved up.
Yeah,
for that.
right.
That's
Yeah.
a nice bike.
It is.
And then, fuck, dude, 3 weeks after it, shit got stolen.
That's because it was sweet.
It was so sweet. I was
We hate
devastated.
endings of
I'm
Oh,
devastated for you, bro.
I couldn't believe it.
wow.
I went back to where I last had it, and I was just staring at an empty space, thinking this really couldn't
Oh,
happen.
Possibly
But,
happened.
that was
Wow.
pretty
Sorry
heartbreaking.
to bring up. Yeah, we're gonna move on.
man. Let's move on, man. We don't need to.
All right.
Why you bringing up old
I
shit?
know.
man?
Why you bringing up old shit, man? My man trying to
So
go first.
I know. So, I mean, it's obvious as a adolescent you love to ride, and you've probably ridden many miles. And I didn't mention how I first. Did I mention the gold bike?
No, man, the gold bike's a legend.
The
That's
gold
a classic.
bike.
All right,
sidebar real quick.
So, like I said, I recognized Joe from his work that he did with the Poma ride. But the first time I said anything to you was on a slow roll back in the day, early on. And this was when it was maybe only, at the most, maybe 400 or 500 people, at the very most. And we're like mid-ride, and I'm riding by doing my squad thing, and this guy, Joe, is riding on a spray-painted gold 10-speed with flats. Front and rear tire were absolutely airless.
Dead flat.
And I was like, who is this guy riding flats? And I was like, oh, that's what slow roll is
That's
about.
a real slow roll.
Yeah,
that's
slow roll.
the truth.
Yeah, my man was on rims.
On rim.
Hey,
and like
but-
halfway
It's funny
through.
as
You completed the ride probably too, didn't you?
Yeah, I swear that bike had so many flat tires that summer. I think I hit close to 50
Oh,
flat
wow.
tires, and that day alone, just having 2 in there. I was trying
Right.
to do like century rides once a week, and I
No
was going
kidding.
for it. Yeah,
Right
just
on.
on like a real old, hand-me-down, rusted-out bike that
right.
I didn't. I mean, like if you had something nice, you always kind of worry about things getting ripped
Sure,
off.
but
But
that's
if
something-
a bike like that,
Oh yeah,
You
ain't
know,
nobody.
You didn't worry about
you
it.
spray paint it gold, it's a little bit more flashy. But
Right,
I
it's
just think
pimp.
I've always spray painted all my bikes gold.
No kidding.
Yeah, I
Nice.
would just dip them like the handlebars,
Nice.
tires,
All
chain.
right.
That'd be
That's some
That
sweet
was like a
insight.
style.
Cool. All right. Rocking that gold.
That bike drip out
That
here.
bike, yeah.
yeah.
All right. So back to our 5 questions.
All right, yes.
Ridden many rides, group, and I'm sure solo on your adventures and your scouting for shots. What would be your most favorite ride? It could be location. It could be event.
You solo on the bike, you just want to go for a
Solo.
ride.
Just
You
go
know,
for
it
a
don't
ride.
matter.
There's something about riding by yourself long distance with some headphones, you know, like
Sure thing.
you can just kind of zone out and
Yep.
figure out your life and
Yeah.
make some plans. It's like your
Indeed.
meditation in a way.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
and you just keep going. And once you hit like that runner's high, you don't even
Oh, that's
count the miles
yeah.
anymore.
You
You just
don't.
like,
Yeah.
you just stopping.
You turn around when you're ready to turn
yeah,
around.
you stopping for some water and that's it. You know.
Right. So there's no. Your favorite ride is just solo dolo.
I mean, I
Music.
love zigzagging through the city and just seeing like all the new everything and just kind of keeping up on it
Lots
at
of
that
new
pace.
development, sure.
Yeah, I like heading north to south. I'll go all the way up to 8 Mile into Belle Isle and back. You know,
Nice,
like
yeah,
just
for sure.
crossing
Right.
through all the neighborhoods and
Nice.
seeing what's going on.
Nice.
Everyone's just like always waving.
Yeah.
it's
For
nice.
For sure.
hmm
So we have our third question is essentially what brought you back to cycling, but cycling, a license didn't kill cycling for you, did it? Or did it?
Cycling is the fountain of youth.
Okay.
That-
That is true.
That's-
I'm
Yeah.
100%
The realest
agree
shit,
with
I'm
man.
that.
about to attest to that shit for
Yeah.
real. Like, yes.
Yes.
So you never, cycling has never left you. It's been a part of your life from your
Two
first
wheels
bike.
forever.
Forever.
That's
what
That's
I'm
what's
talking
up.
about.
Uh-huh.
Hashtag.
Yes.
Yeah, now that we have Riverside Skate Park and they just dropped that
Oh,
one off in
man.
Ferndale, like
Yeah.
we're surrounded by some world-class cement parks that really kind of help me dust off the BMX bike and,
Oh,
and
no,
get
snap.
that
Okay.
cardio
Look
going.
for Joe Gall, Cameron Jesus, and your local fucking
Right.
concrete
Right.
park.
Doing tricks and taking shots.
Right.
All right. If you could describe, it could be anything. What would be your favorite Detroit flavor? Food, smell, music.
You ever
Whatever
smell
it could be.
bootgrass?
Oh man, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, that's kind of the go-to, especially like when you're hanging out or riding solo and you kind of want something fast and
Yep.
and you're not trying to sit down and you're by yourself. You order up at Bootgrass and scoop it up.
There's no better
in and out.
$5 sandwich in the
Yeah.
city, in my
Five.
opinion.
Can't even
$5.50.
believe it's $5.
Right. It's,
Yes.
Yes.
It may last me
Yes.
2 meals, and I'm a big fool. So.
Hey, yeah, no, you get, you
the
cut
best,
that, cut
yeah,
that
my
boy in
opinion,
half
best $5
sometimes.
sandwich.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bucharest.
Shout out to Bucharest, baby.
We'll take a 6-pack.
Started at Park Bar.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
All right, last but not least, if you had one wish, sky's the limit. What would be your one wish for Detroit?
We could just level the playing field a bit and bring everybody up together. You know,
man.
like just keep this city as like one big family and keep that vibe and the vibrations high, you know?
Right. I mean, because there's been threats of it kind of waning here and there, but
Yeah, I feel like things are kind of becoming more segregated, and even like things that I've worked hard on are getting taken from me, which, you know, change is good and you have to embrace what's happening, and everything comes in waves, so
sure.
you just got to ride those waves until it works out for everybody.
Man,
Well said.
well said.
Right.
That's what's up. Well, Joe, Camera Jesus, we really appreciate you
Thank you
taking
for-
some
thank
time
you.
out of your busy schedule. What are you up to next? What's going on next with you?
I have a shoot in Yosemite this week, Sunday leaving.
Just like that. He's heading out to
Yeah,
Yosemite. National
whatever.
Park.
This weekend I'm going to do my job.
But that's been like one of those national parks on my list of things to see for a long time, and to be able to go out there for work is incredible.
Oh, my goodness.
Man.
I can only imagine.
Love
That's
it.
fascinating.
Love it.
All right, just to recap, where can people find you? Where can people find you?
You find me in the streets.
In the streets.
He's out here.
Find me at Camera Jesus, Instagram, and you know, I'll see you guys at the next event.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Joe, Camera Jesus, again, thank you for taking the time
Yes,
out
sir.
to hang with us. We really appreciate you. And if you don't follow Camera Jesus, you're way.
You got some catching up to
You
do.
got a lot of catching up to do.
Start scrolling now,
Please,
but not too fast. You want to appreciate
every single shot.
every single shot.
That's what's up.
Hey.
As you know, we are Detroit Bicycle, all about the love, benefits, art, culture, food, and the people we meet on bikes here in Detroit and beyond. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.